Hey yo, what's good? You're with us with Workhorse Wrestling Network. Tonight, we are doing something special for the Cookout podcast. We usually talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling, but tonight, we're doing a watch along.
Yes, sir. As Sammy Joe said, we are going to watch the first episode of the Mr. McMahon documentary that's new on Netflix. So first, we're going to do a clown of the week. Miss Anika is going to give us her clown of the week. And then we'll watch the episode. And then I thought if you guys are up for it, depending on how long the episode takes and our conversation afterwards, maybe we can wrap up with a quick little Bad Blood preview since it's going to be this Saturday and we're going to be doing a watch along. So, Miss Anika, if you want to kick us off with Clown of the Week.
It pains my heart, this clown of the week, but when you be a clown, you gotta be acknowledged. We gotta set it straight. More so, like you said, we're gonna do a watch along of the Mr. McMahon documentary, but most people have already seen it, right? So this clown of the week is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Baby boy, you saying that you don't believe in CTE. Do you have evidence? Do you have evidence that CTE is not a real thing? Do you have the proof, reasoning of why you don't believe in CTE? Because this is the kind of foolishness where numbnuts run with stuff and stuff doesn't get resolved. So now, full disclosure, this is about the Chris Benoit incident where him, his wife, and this is his tragic passing. Right now, I think in Stone Cold's mind, he was like, let's not put it all on CTE. Let him take responsibility for his actions. I am not opposed to that thinking, right? I'm like, yes, even if he had brain damage, and that probably was a result of this incident, he still takes responsibility of his actions. But you can't just throw out CTE because you're mad, sir. So, like I said, this is how people don't get research gets not funded, because crackheads like you emotionally say stuff on the internet that does not help the process. No offense, but real life, sir. If you don't have scientific proof, allegedly.
Yeah, this one shocked me a little bit because I mean and not only that, it's dangerous because the reality is that whether he wants to admit it or not, CTE is a real thing, and it has nothing to do with wrestling. It's not a negative thing on wrestling. It's not like this is something that just has to do with wrestling.
Exactly.
This has to do with anybody that's involved in any kind of contact sport. It has happened to football players. It's happened to all sorts of people. So this has nothing to do with wrestling.
Football.
Huh?
He used to play football.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not exclusive to wrestling. No one's taking shots at wrestling. Is it fair to say that Chris Benoit holds some responsibility or accountability? I mean, to the extent that his actions were affected by his years of excessive steroid use, then sure, that was a decision he chose to make. Now, it's also a decision to get into the ring, and it's also a decision to make a combat sport or something where you are taking excessive blows to the head, and he used the headbutt move. So to be fair, he took more moves, probably more shots to the head than maybe your average wrestler. So some of that is on him. At the same time, everything that I've heard about CTE from doctors, sorry, Stone Cold, of which you are not, is that when you actually have it, you have no idea what's going on. So if that's the case, whether it's his fault that maybe he got it or he did things to precipitate getting CTE, that's neither here nor there. The fact is that if he had it when he committed those crimes, then he wasn't himself. And so, that's, you can only take so much responsibility for that, right? So, I mean, he bears as much responsibility as anybody else that plays football or is a wrestler or anybody else that makes a decision to be in combat sports or in full contact sports where you have these kind of injuries. So it is a thing. The brain is very delicate, and it's something that's not to be messed around with, and it is a real thing. So yeah, no, that's when I read that, I was like, ooh, and it's dangerous because people listen to people like that because people follow people like Stone Cold and they think, oh, well, Stone Cold says it's not real, then it's not real. Well, that's not true, and it's not. And it dismisses all the real cases of it too. Even if you question whether Chris Benoit had it or not, I haven't read all the doctor's reports. That's a rumor, but there are people that have really had it and been diagnosed with it, and that have it currently that are living with it. So, you can't make a blanket statement like that. First of all, it makes you sound dumb, and secondly, it's dangerous. So,
like a famous podcaster once said recently, I have overestimated people's intelligence. And it's becoming very evident the more and more the internet and social media grows. And again, hey, if you don't want to educate yourself, fine. But don't spew it for other people to not educate themselves as well.
yeah. Yeah.
I had to change my hat.
The problem is that these people, they don't know they're wrong and they think that they're right, and that's what's dangerous. And because they have a platform and a voice, and because they think what they have to say is important and people want to listen to it, then you get stuff like that. So, I guess it is what it is. Clown of the week, unfortunately, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
So, all right. So, on to bigger and better things. Something hopefully that's, I don't know if it's going to be any more pleasant or not, because who knows what this documentary is going to be like. I've heard it's good so far. I haven't watched
before we
any of
get started on that, I'd like to give my condolences
Mhm.
To the Cowboys for their best player getting injured and having to sit out the rest of the season. Like, that is heartbreaking to hear. Like,
but he's fine. Nuh-uh. Go somewhere else. No. I'm sorry. Your condolences of someone getting injured. I get it, but not right now because people are actually passing away. So no, you can't start off with condolences. He got injured. No, let's go someplace else.
well, I mean, it might be his last season with the team too, and he's like the best in his position.
And not to mention, I don't necessarily. I mean, I think that Sammy probably feels bad for the athlete. I think he's deliberately making a back jab at me by talking shit about the Cowboys losing their best player. So
I thought you were saying Pete Rose, but no, sir, like come on, let's go someplace else.
Micah Parsons is probably the best player in the entire league in that position. Like,
okay.
Yeah, or John Amos, or rest in peace, actually. But yes, it is unfortunate.
Well, I wasn't saying all the time. I was saying today in the league.
Right.
I think he's probably the best player in that position. Like, there's Myles Garrett, which it's debatable, but I'd probably go with Micah, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the consistent. I mean, that's the take around the league. So it's definitely unfortunate as a Cowboy fan. It hits a little harder than it might for other teammates or for other teams fans. So, but it is what it is. I hope for him that he gets back and is healthy and still has a long career. We'll have to see what ends up happening. So,
if you want, you could make a joke about our quarterback injuring our star wide receiver for my team.
I have no idea what happened, so I wouldn't be able to make a joke.
Well, Chiefs are in desperate need of a wide receiver right now because it's been a lot of bad luck.
Right.
It's crazy, the injuries this year.
Yep, there's always a lot of crazy injuries in football. So, all right, so let's get to what we're going to do here tonight. We are going to watch Mr. McMahon, episode 1 on Netflix. Are you guys all queued up and ready to start it or what?
Give me 1 minute. I want to see.
1 minute?
Oh, interesting. All right, no, I'm on the page now, and it'd be very interesting when they're like, "We think you'll like this." I'm like, "So y'all really don't know me at all? No, Mr. McMahon, huh? Interesting. Y'all know I'm a freaking wrestling fan. All right, fine. But yeah, okay, now I'm ready.
All right, Sammy, you all ready?
Yeah.
All right, press and play.
Dun, dun.
Dun,
Oh, no countdown, just press play.
Yep, no countdown, just press play. I'm curious to see if this is any different than any of the other day. I mean, I don't know how many Mr. McMahon documentaries I've seen or have been done, but I know I've watched a fair amount of WWE wrestling stuff, documentaries, rise and fall of WWE, this and that, and they all are somewhat similar a lot of times. So I'm curious to see if this ends up being any. Hulk Hogan sighting already. I mean, Terrence and Ciampa sighting already.
Linda McMahon, interesting.
I'm hoping this is going to be like honest and not try to be trying to paint him in such a good light and everything.
So here's the thing, right? That everyone needs to understand before they watch this thing. This was in production before he retired the first time, right?
Correct. I was just about to read this little intro.
So most of this stuff is in the can. So the first couple of episodes have already been recorded before the allegations came forth. So I'm not going to say they're going to cherry pick, but yeah, they're going to cherry pick the words, but until they get to maybe episode 3 or 4.
Yeah, it says beginning in 2021, over 100 hours of interviews were filmed with Vince McMahon, his family, business associates, and some World Wrestling Entertainment's most popular stars. That's a little opening segment cap show. All right, so I had to pause there, and obviously it starts with Vince in the ring talking. So
yeah, there was a documentary on Showtime about Vince that I vaguely remember, but I do remember some very important parts. So I wonder if they're going to bring that up again.
Is Dark Side of the Ring still a thing?
Yeah. I mean, at least it was. It just had a season. I mean, whatever the last season was. I mean, we'll see if they do another one, but.
International $1 billion business.
I can hear somebody's TV.
Bad guy boss.
Okay, there we go. I can't hear it no more.
Who I know Vince McMahon, Hogan says.
Bruh.
They really don't know who
Steph?
I'm surprised Linda's here. No offense, but I want to mention on that. Like, are y'all still married?
Right? I wonder, we're never going to get. I don't believe we're ever going to get a truly candid look at the real Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr., right? Until he's dead. And people feel like they can say all the stuff that they don't want to say while he's alive, right?
And are employed by him as well. Yeah.
Right. And that's the other thing. I'm not sure. I guess this is a Netflix original, but he sure seems to be involved a lot in it. And I'm assuming he still has a lot to say about it. So, he's probably not going to do anything in this that's going to make him look too bad. Why would you agree to that? So,
well, I'm pretty sure they did this because they're about to announce the Raws going to Netflix. So it's like, okay, we'll do this to promote all the good stuff. And it's like, oh, wait.
So they are
So now
talking about the stuff, but it's not the WWE people talking about the stuff.
right,
No.
well, here's Wall Street Journal reporter talking about the sexual assault stuff.
All right, and they're making it known that these were all filmed before that was made known.
All right.
So
$12 million
when John
not
Cena
funding
gushes
forward.
about him and how great he is, that you know that this was before he knew.
Right. So I don't hold I don't hold any of these interviews against these people because I'm pretty sure,
Right.
especially the people who are in Hollywood, I'm pretty sure they locked this down before they had to do other stuff.
Yeah, because they've obviously added. If all these interviews were in 2021, then obviously this is all stuff that's since obviously after those. So yeah. The majority of the following interview included with Vince McMahon were filmed before sexual misconduct allegations were made to the public.
Like,
I
these
wish I
people
could
are
tell you the
nasty.
real stories. Holy shit! He says.
Like,
So I mean, if you start off a documentary by saying, "I wish I could tell you the real stories," we obviously know we're not getting the real stories. Like, come on now.
exactly. But I guess when they say that, I guess you can interview other people and try to get the truth more from other. That's like if it was just him, it'd be like, well, all right, we'll turn it off. But there are other people
Right.
they're going to be interviewed. So like, okay, so maybe we'll get somewhere
Yeah.
closer to the truth. That's not with you.
Like I don't think they're ever going to mention the Jimmy Snuka stuff.
Oh no, they're gonna. Well, Vince isn't going to mention it, but I think they're going to mention it.
What did he do? And what did he try to hide? This goes beyond business.
I can hear somebody's TV.
We're still technically in the credits, so.
It's episode 1, Junior.
Dun dun. Episode 1, Junior. Oh, Terrence from Tampa.
Like
The Union Buster himself.
I know why you had to interview Terrence, but dear God, don't.
Right?
You better be glad Andre the Giant is not here anymore.
Oh, Tony Atlas.
Right?
I love Bret Hart, but he is a little holier than that, right? What I do is an art form, and I did it the best. Like, come on. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like.
Side note: I have not watched this match yet. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. I haven't watched it yet.
I will have to do a retro watch along and watch it.
Bob Costa. But
I do like that. I was gonna say I like that statement by Triple H for people. He was like, people say it's fake. It's not that, or that the WWE fans or wrestling fans are too stupid to know that it's fake. It's not that they're too stupid to know that it's fake. It's that they can get past that it's fake and fall in love with the characters and still enjoy it.
No offense, like he said. Until I think we've said it so many times. Just as long as you don't tell us who's supposed to win, we can we don't care.
Right.
And if we call a spade, some of these sports events are already predetermined. You got to just do a better job of hiding it.
There's probably some of that.
Definitely in boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of MMA in the '90s was fixed. I'm just gonna say it.
The Lakers versus the Celtics in the 80s and 90s. Y'all know some of those.
Two of the greatest dynasties in basketball history. Everyone else is fighting for third.
I am curious to know if we're going to hear anything that we really don't already kind of know.
I mean, yeah.
Is that considered the best promoter in the business?
Side note, I think the Bulls captured that, but whatever.
I mean, they had a couple great years. Yeah.
Six.
Mhm.
6.
I mean, it's not like the attended 20 years that the Lakers and the Celtics have.
Dynasty. Like, you had a great rivalry, but 3-peat. Twice. Just
Didn't the Celtics win it like 6 years in a row?
But no, it's about Bill Russell. There's some. There's a reason. We're getting off topic, but ask Bill Russell. He didn't like them years. Let's just say that. The hell is his dad wearing? What kind of?
I didn't know that.
What?
Did you guys know that he didn't know his dad when he first?
No,
I didn't.
know.
So he lived alone apparently with his mom, and they were very poor until he met his dad. He was, what did you just say? He said he was like 10 years old when he met his dad for the first time, or 12 years old or something when he met his dad for the very first time.
So I did know that he lived with his mom, and I wasn't sure, like, him and his dad had little interactions, but I didn't know it was until it was 12.
All right. I Googled it to fact check myself. I was incorrect. It wasn't 6 consecutive, it was 8 consecutive championships.
And again, he asked Bill Russell.
Well, I had to fact check myself.
Hey, so when two people have a problem with each other and it's physical interaction and they fight, I like that.
Hey.
It's very interesting. I wonder if, so his dad was already a successful promoter when he, I guess, started to have a relationship with his dad. Vince and I met when I was 13 and he was, oh, okay, that's Linda. Anyhow, but it's interesting because he's like, I just became enamored with my dad and fell in love with him right away. I wonder if that's because he already recognized that his dad was like successful businessman and he was poor and this was like his way out of that, or if, if his dad had been nobody and poor and still left him and still been whatever, if he'd had that same kind of. Did
Like
she say he
Vince
was
doesn't even
16?
like to.
What?
Vince doesn't even like to acknowledge where he grew up.
Right.
Like he'd have you think he's from New England. He's from New York. Up there. No, he's from I think North Carolina. Did they say?
I believe that's what CM has said in the past. The people that really know he's from North Carolina and know the real Vince McMahon. They're showing clips of old wrestling men. Oh, Bruce Pritchard. Brother Love. Hey, Classy Freddie Blassie. So he's talking about getting the shot in broadcasting. You know, I guess I understand why I feel like, to a certain extent, every wrestling documentary has a lot of the same stuff in it, because I guess it's supposed to appeal to everybody. But as wrestling fans, we already know all this stuff. I don't need to be told what a babyface is and what a heel is. Like, I already know. Like, just get to the point. Like,
Right. Ooh,
who he was going to sell to Gorilla Monsoon. I didn't know
that's
that.
interesting.
Monsoon was a partner. Interesting. Oh, so his dad agreed to accept payments from him. He offered to make payments, and if he missed the payment, he lost the business. Interesting.
Like, boy, I'll grab in a trailer park. Show your damn. Like, that's what be pissing people off when about rich people talking about, well, you have to learn from the ground up. Did you learn from the ground up? Well, then shut up talking to me while I was go. I already went through crap.
I wanted to be something beyond pro wrestling.
Because you hate your daddy. I understand now. I hate your daddy too.
From the country and they San Francisco, Seattle, that's
Wow. I realized there was that many territorial wrestling promotions. I mean, I know there was a lot, but I didn't know there was that many. I guess it makes sense. Almost every state seemed to have some sort of a promotion.
Every state is one of the big. It's still a big. What you call it? Wrestling state too. Like, there's nothing I like. And it was in Portland, Oregon. I'm like, really? But no, every state like, okay. Every time y'all go there, it's still a big wrestling fans there.
New Jersey or wherever, no Wrestling Federation will be there.
Now we're going into the AWA.
I haven't got that. I'm not sure. Maybe we're at a different spot. I don't know. I got Vince still talking about I hurt my dad. He said I started promoting in St. Louis and everywhere else, blah, blah, blah.
I can pause for like 5 seconds.
All right, AWA. AWA logo.
Now look at Eric Bischoff.
Oh, I didn't know Eric Bischoff worked for Vern Gagne. I never knew that. Vern was concerned that Vince was Satan. He was probably right.
I mean, until recently, like, that's still the way it was. WWE would get their talent from somewhere else. Usually it was Ring of Honor here of late.
Right. Sure.
Like, it's not until recently that they're like, we're going to develop our own homegrown superstars. And I don't know how you feel, but I feel like that's kind of been a bust. I mean, there's been a few. There's been like Bianca Belair. She's fantastic.
I mean, if you're talking about coming through NXT first, that I don't know, but there have been some people that started their career essentially in WWE and became. I mean, you can talk about The Rock and John Cena, who essentially started their careers in WWE and became megastars.
Yeah, like, but it's been very seldom. Like most people who go about it that way, like, don't typically pan out. Roman Reigns, you got him. Like you got athletes who came from other sports. Like you got your Baron Corbins, your
Kurt Angles.
Well, Kurt Angle did some stuff before he signed with WWE, though.
That's true. That is true. What did you say?
So basically, this was like he wants his star person to be the star of his promotion, right? And
Right.
Bob Backlund,
And he was looking at a few different people, and Dusty was one of the people out there that he was looking at.
Right.
But I guess Cody said that Dusty said that Vince just never really looked at him like that.
He's trying to be nice with it. Dusty was too fat.
Right. Yeah.
But y'all don't want to say that because we're still again. This was before the whole.
And everybody loves Dusty, so you don't want to like.
He wasn't. There you go. Okay, I'm sorry. A better way to say it. He wasn't a bodybuilder. He didn't have the physical package that you think is going to sell tickets.
What the? He was going by Sterling something before he was Hulk Hogan. I forget what they said it was. Sterling. Forget. Andre had some hair in the day, dude. Man.
Oh man. The Princess Bride is still one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
I am Diego Montoya. You keep my fat.
Interesting. Stallone saw him wrestle and said, I want him involved in Rocky.
Dang.
Right? If you go do the movie, you'll be fired and never work here again.
Called his bluff.
Right?
But then you flip it. Damien Priest supposed to be in Black Panther 2, and someone told him he couldn't do it.
Who?
I didn't know that.
he was like basically they called the old regime. Basically, Vince said he couldn't do the movie, but they called him the old regime.
Who?
Damian Priest.
Damian Priest. He was supposed to be in Black Panther 2, and he said the old regime told him he couldn't do it. How soon you forget, sir? How soon you forget?
You gotta call people's bluffs.
Well, it's easier because he's Hulk Hogan, and like he said, him and Andre are by themselves, soling out stuff. With Damian, I don't think he had enough clout to do that just yet.
If they want to fire you, go work somewhere else.
For a Marvel movie, I would have considered that would have been a conversation. If I married a Damian Priest, we would have had a conversation. Hey, baby, AEW is down the street. I'll learn some Japanese in New Japan because this is Marvel. Are we sure we want to turn this down?
I mean, WWE didn't turn down Roman Reigns from being in Hobbs and Shaw.
Well, again, that's The Rock, and you don't want to. You don't want to mess up you don't want to, offend The Rock. And like I said, The Rock has more cachet than Damian Priest. Heck, Roman Reigns has more cachet than Damian Priest.
Cheeky baby. I miss the Iron Sheik.
I think the real problem to it is that if these guys start being in movies, then we have to pay them more money, and we don't want to pay them more money, so we'll, keep their star power from getting too high. That way we don't have to pay them more money. I think that's the reason why they rejected so many wrestlers from doing movies. They rejected Batista. They rejected so many other dudes. Like John Cena got 4 movies, and they kept on telling Batista, "No, you can't."
Well, then that was the Deuce statement talking about, well, you're not John Cena. Screw off. I don't want to be John Cena.
Yeah, Batista actually wants to win an Oscar one day.
Ain't this the truth? Because let me tell you, Air Force One with Harrison Ford, man, baby, get off my plane.
Back to the Future. Just talking about how early 80s it was always foreigners against Americans and how wrestling, followed suit. That's why it was so easy to have like the Bolsheviks and Cheeky versus Hogan, the American, hero.
But even again, that's just the media.
Oh.
Even back then, we didn't know it, making you believe, but and you think, hey, it's the news. Why would they lie? And it's like for their own agenda. But we didn't know it back then. We just didn't know it.
I'll never forget that day on freaking Twitter where Sheik made a post where he was, praising Hulk Hogan and saying a bunch of things of how he loves him and how great he is. And Twitter had the tagline of "Some things in this message may be false or misleading." Because if you don't know, Sheik hates Hogan. Like, one of the funniest things ever is all the shit talk he'd do online. I don't know what happened that day. It seemed like she got hacked. I don't know what that was about, but the fact that Twitter picked up on it was like, this could be false or misleading.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Oh, he was one of the best Twitter followers of all time.
Well, that's a beautiful title.
Which is one thing I'd like to compliment Triple H about Bringing back good-looking titles.
Hey, Jay Uso's new title with that blue.
Yeah.
Oh my
It looks
gosh! It's like Luke Owen said it best. Who would have thought just a little bit of blue makes it that much freaking better?
Like, it's wild that we had such crappy-looking championship titles for so many years, and like,
Like, well, like that's again, you're like you don't really care about wrestling. You care about the business. So let's make some championships that look like toys.
for merch, because
it's
if they
definitely
look
went up and down
cheap,
over the years. Certain belts, I mean, they've had good belts at different times, and then they've changed them and they've been bad, and then they've gone back to being better. I mean, like that Hogan belt right there is not bad. That's a nice looking belt.
but if the belts look cheap, then it's easier to make a replica that is cheap,
Yep, no doubt. 100%.
and then charge 200 times of what it costs to make for people to buy it.
So I was going to say earlier when he popped on here, I guess I get it because he's had the longest running wrestling publication in the United States, in the world, or whatever. I don't know, whatever their reach is. But I do find it interesting when Dave Meltzer is on these kinds of things. Like, he's really only a wrestling fan, dude. I get like he's been running a magazine, and he's kind of like away from wrestling. He's like the foremost authority, but he's just a fan, dude. He's just a fan who's parlayed his fandom into, being, I guess, the most talked about guy outside of wrestling as a wrestling talking head. It's weird.
He's the biggest fan.
Right. I guess that's it, right? I guess that's it. It's very weird.
Like, I think you're hard pressed to find somebody who knows more about wrestling that wasn't actually in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, there's probably people out there I mean, he's also older than a lot of people, so I mean, that are doing it. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, there's other people I'm sure that know, not equal, but a fair amount. I mean, I don't dislike Dave. I just find it interesting. Like, you have some announcers, like you have some TV personalities on here or reporters, but they're all like legitimate Wall Street Journal guys or USA Today guys, and then Dave Meltzer from Pretty Observer. It's like, okay. Oh, that's so weird. So Vince says I had an opportunity to grow up good, close to my dad, and really love my dad. And then Tony Atlas says, I don't think he really liked his dad.
Hey, love and like are two different things. They are two different things. But this is how they kept hanging around and he said it. It's hilarious.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Linda look good.
What did you say? Linda looked good?
Linda looks good. I know, like her, like Vince is all bulky and you can tell he got some facelift done, but like Linda's like, okay, I'm actually aging gracefully. I'm accepting this.
It's a real issue though of like him wanting to set it for a younger audience because when they were at their biggest, it was edgier and more adult than ever before. And then when they went back to being PG, like their audience literally got cut in half.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting dynamic about television in general.
Mhm.
The segment over 65 watches more TV than any other age segment of people across the country, and they spend more money than any other segment. But the prime demographic supposedly is 18 to 45. It makes zero sense to me. Your prime demographic should be over 65. Those are the people that watch the most TV and spend the most money. Why are you not targeting them? The whole thing is stupid. It's counterintuitive.
Well, it's also the things that they spend money on is a factor too.
Sure.
Like most of the people of the advertisers that are wanting to pay the big bucks for advertising are like cars, which if you're wanting to sell a car 18 to 45, that's your go-to demographic there. Like I assume somebody over the age of 45, like probably just going to get a used car that runs well, not go to a lot and get something new.
See, I don't know about that because as I've experienced it, people have more money the older they get. So the older they get, the nicer the things they have. Like both my parents are in their 70s, and both of them just got new cars within the last 5 years, and they were both brand new. They
Oh,
wouldn't buy
really?
something. They wouldn't buy something used. They're at that point in their life where they have the money and they want nice stuff. So I mean, they're not going to buy something used.
Oh, well, I guess I'm wrong.
I mean, I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know if you are or you're not. I say my personal experience. I mean, I'm 48, and 2 years ago I got the nicest car I've ever had in my life because I finally had the money to afford a nice car.
Mm.
Before that, I always had used cars and shitty cars because I had no money. All right, Captain Lou and Cyndi Lauper. I will. I mean, I'm not a Vince McMahon fan in any way, shape, or form, but I don't think you can deny that he was in some regards ahead of his time or was able to see where the business was heading when other people didn't and jump on that faster than other people did. Get
Oh
there
no.
before other people.
Oh no.
Whether you like him or not, I mean, he's definitely he's done some things that have been visionary in some regards, right?
Cyndi Lauper was such a better guest for WWE than they've had in the later years. Like
Oh yeah,
in the late 2000s, like having like Snooki, and it's like,
Sexy Red.
oh, if we're going to modern, yeah. Oof.
But I mean, in general, just when you compare like down the years, like
On behalf of Missouri, I would like to apologize for Sexy Red. We did
Cyndi
that, and we're sorry.
Lauper.
But in Missouri's defense, we also gave you Nelly.
So I just saw something. Apparently, I don't know if this is all, but he's apparently being sued right now by several people that apparently helped write and produce Country Grammar, and he failed to give them any kind of
The
credit, let alone pay them.
Saint
So
Lunatics, yeah.
yeah, there you go, Saint Lunatics. So apparently they're
That's
suing him at the moment.
so unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. Obviously, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I mean, Nelly says that's not true. They say it is, and obviously the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I mean, I don't. I guess, although the reality is, if you're filing a lawsuit and you're going that extreme, then you obviously feel pretty strong about your stand, and you've gotten a lawyer that feels like you got a case as well. So there's probably some, where there's a little bit of smoke, there's fire, right? So
Well, I mean, the lawyer is definitely going to go for it because like 9 times out of 10 with these artists. Like they're given a, I can't think of the word for it. Like they make a deal out of court.
Settle.
Right,
They
they
just,
settle. Yeah,
yeah,
a
a
settlement.
settlement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just throw some
Right.
money at the problem goes away.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, true or false. It it's just, it's bad publicity and money solves the problem and you got plenty of money, so just throw money at it.
He said he went to the Caribbean for 2 days and came back and said we're gonna have one big event a year like the Super Bowl. They were gonna call it WrestleMania.
Like I feel like the only time celebrities and rich people actually go to court is if it's about going to prison. Like if
Right.
it's not about going to prison, then they just throw money at it. Oh, aside from Ed Sheeran did go to court for the um, copyright stuff.
The baby boy knew that he don't steal from nobody. He was like, fine, let's go, let's do this.
Right.
And he brought that guitar. This is what I was
Yeah,
playing. This is what you think this is, and this is what you have. You see how it's different? I'm gonna tell you how it's different on my guitar right now.
he was like, so here's this, and here's this, and here's 30 other additional songs that sound exactly like this. So, like, if you want to sue me, go ahead and sue the 30 other people and try and sue the person who did it 80 years before the thing that you're stating is the original.
Interesting.
Like, he pulled up a song from the 1800s and was like, yeah, that's your song too. What you gonna do? It's 3 chords.
I guess I didn't. Interesting.
Right.
ABC News. All right. Trying to figure out, was it only on? Did they not have pay-per-view TV? I thought that was an only closed circuit television in arenas for WrestleMania. The very first one. Oh,
I think
I
it
think
was
that's what they
review.
just said. I think that's what they just said. Because
Did
it showed all
news
those
report-
cities where you could go to the city and go to like an arena and watch it on closed circuit, where they would just show it on a big screen.
Did news reporters not have anything better to do with their time? Well, I mean, I'm saying that even nowadays they still don't have anything better to do with their time.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the Ariel Hawanis of the world, but no, I mean, at this time, I mean, this is really so. I'm going to use the term fake again, but this is before some of the smoke and mirrors were lifted around wrestling. I think there was still kind of this belief that is this real? Are these people really? And so I think the news was a little bit more like, now you're about to see here, like this dude calls it fake, and he got smacked.
You're dang.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's all, is that fake? So that was a huge black eye on the sport. But no, I think there was like this, because this was really before it was like they came out and said, yeah, these guys are not hitting each other 100% and blah 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 all the time.
Bruh, what's your deal? Like, what is the point of you telling this truth to people? Honestly,
And to me, it's sort of a situation of like, who cares? Like,
honestly,
Why do we watch that's real? I mean, is John Wick real? I mean, is Gladiator real? Like, I mean, it's like, yes, Gladiator might have been real back in the day. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, these movies aren't real either. It's no different than any of the movies or TV shows you're watching. I mean, why just because it's people fighting does it have to be? But to be fair, in its early days, before Vince really went out of his way to say, this is sports entertainment, there was this idea that it was considered a sport, which it is, but the connotation around sports is that it's a true Whether you believe stuff is rigged or not, the idea is that it's a true competitive endeavor. And so when you put that on this, the implication is that this is a true competitive endeavor. And in some regards it is, but in some it isn't, right? So
the true competition is the politics backstage.
sure, no doubt.
Right. I can real quick. I compare this to boxing, and we know Don King. He was telling a story like, okay, we're going to do 3, so that means one. You win 1 and you win 1, and we're going to do the 3rd one to see who wins the whole enchilada. That is fixed. So what's the difference between that and this?
I mean, I for me, the difference between that and this is that you can't tell me that Mike Tyson never hit somebody as hard as he possibly could, or that he ever pulled a punch or didn't go full force or any of that stuff, or that even if Don King had said to him, "You're going to lose here," he's like, "Fuck that, I'm not losing. You can say I'm going to lose, but I'm not going to," and go out and do whatever he wants to do because it's a real sporting competition. Now, there are some people that are willing to do that and take a dive and make it, but in theory, it is a true sport. Here, you already know. That's the weird thing about wrestling. Like, there's this connotation that it's not fake, and to a certain extent, it's not, and to a certain extent, it is, right? Because they are not always hitting each other full force. Like, you can't do a lot of the stuff that they do to people full force, and they would survive and come back and wrestle 2 days later. So we obviously know, and you can see certain moves don't ever connect, and people act like that's what they call it selling. So there is a certain amount of fakeness to it. At the same time, people do really get hurt, and they are doing athletic stuff. So it's a weird combination, right? But I mean, other than being fixed and someone saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do this or that," boxing is a real, truly competitive sport. You may think it's rigged, and I mean, you may say that it's whatever, but I mean, people don't always adhere to that. Well, people don't always adhere to it in the wrestling ring too. Some guys have gone out and gone on their own and gone on script and done shit too, right? So.
For me though, like the news reporters like going after it as much as they are though is more ridiculous to me. Like it kind of like if they were to like go after like ballet of like, oh, the Nutcracker King didn't actually die. It was just an act.
Right. Sure, of course.
It's like duh.
No doubt.
Oh, I don't care.
Like imagine going up to a ballerina and like what you do is fake. Like
Right. I mean, I would attribute what these guys do. These guys, to me, professional wrestlers, to me, are similar to like Hollywood stuntmen. That's how I think of them to a certain extent.
Very much so.
And that's the real part of it. The fighting might not be full contact, but the real part of it is that you're still doing real stunts that take athletic endeavor, and you can get hurt.
And usually, like the offensive move that they're doing hurts them more than it actually hurts the person that they're making it look like it's hurting.
Now, there have been a lot of guys out there that never learned how to do it without hurting people and have truly hurt people. Mm-hmm. And there's also guys that have got mad in the ring and actually ended up in a real fight that wasn't it started off as a word and then it became a shoot, right? Then it became a shoot. So that does happen.
Like when the other wrestler just pulls out a knife, like, whoa, bro.
No, I'll never forget the day. I realized that they weren't hitting each other as hard as possible. It was a freaking. Me and my dad, and he's a mentor of boys, teenagers, and we were sitting down having lunch. Like, it is real. It's not, it is. While we're going back and forth, he literally grabs my hand and starts,
Yeah.
So what's that? And I'm like, so my family never believed in the whole Santa thing and saying it's real life. I literally felt like someone told me Santa Claus was not real. I'm like, I finally get what kids feel when they realize that. I'm like,
no, and I think that to a certain extent, WWE, well, WWF at the time, had to come out at one point. Well, first of all, they had that special. Mr. Wrestling did the whole thing on TV in the late 80s where he exposed professional wrestling, supposedly. And that was pretty eye opening as a kid. I remember watching that, and it was, it kind of was that. But then at one point, WWE had to say, we're basically, because the kids were doing too much stuff, they had liability that they were afraid of. So they basically said, this is this is what it is. It's whatever, and not as real as you might think it is, but not fake either. So that is the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
That went by faster than I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
hour long.
The main thing you're watching it together, but I'm like, oh, that.
So interesting. I mean, I guess I found out a couple things I didn't know. I didn't really know that Vincent came from like nothing with his mom before, and that he didn't meet his dad till he was a little older. So I did find that interesting. I didn't know that he had paid his dad off in installments, and I didn't know that Gorilla was originally going to take over the company, or
More
supposed
so
to be.
that.
Yeah,
More so
I didn't
that.
know all
Gorilla
that.
Monsoon's supposed to be in charge of WWE, not him. I mean, that's like, again, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you didn't meet him till you were 12. That's still your son. And evidently he wants a relationship with you. This is your, your heir, your legacy. Why would you not want to give it to him?
Yeah. I mean,
Like as bad as Vince treats Shane, like it's crazy to think that Vince's dad treated him worse.
worse, right?
Literally every abusive or not stellar father-child relationship. If you ask a parent, "Well, I'm doing better than my parent. At least I didn't beat him," or I'm like, "Yes, but we can do better than that." Or I'm at least I'm providing food and shelter.
Yeah, I mean the bar needs to be higher than that, right?
But we can't do better than that. It's like,
yeah, you think? I mean that's an indictment, right, of society, and the fact that that's okay for the bar to just be like, oh well, as long as I'm feeding him and housing him, it's okay. I think no, that's not really enough. People like. But there's a lot of kids that suffer through that situation, so it is very sad and unfortunate. There was
one of the craziest to me was Vince on social media saying happy birthday to people, and like there was one for a wrestler that was like, happy birthday, it's been a pleasure working with you all these years, like you're such a great this and that, and to many more birthdays to come. And then for his son it was happy birthday, Shane.
I didn't think there was anything. I mean, to be fair, it's the very first episode. I thought it was good. I thought it seemed well done. I liked the way they did it. There wasn't anything other than those couple little things that I heard that was like new or shocking or revealing, right? A lot of it is stuff that if you watch the rise of WWE or if you watch any other Vince McMahon documentaries or any Hulk Hogan documentaries or any documentaries for that matter from WWE, you get a lot of that same stuff. So just kind of how it started, the territory stuff, we all knew those kind of things. So I assume hopefully as we get farther along in episodes, we'll get a little bit more and more into, the other stuff that maybe we don't know all about. But again, I mean, I can't imagine, Vince isn't going to really tell too much. It's going to, I mean, like you said, I'm not going to tell you all the real stories. So we already know from his mouth we're not getting the true story, right? So, or the real stories. So I don't know. What'd you guys think overall?
It seems like it's going to be a pretty good series.
Right? Cause when it comes to series of any capacity, right? That first episode has to hook you to watch something else. I'm like, oh, after that, I'm like, hey, I real life wanted to hit the next button, and that's a clear indication that at least it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
I've been through some where it's like, nope, not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm being the Netflix. I'm being the Netflix button. I'm going someplace else. You're not going to automatically do the next episode.
Right. Yeah. No, I was ready to hit the next button as well. Which, if you join us next week, we'll be watching the next episode next week. So I think it's 6 episodes. So I think we just do one a week for the next 6 weeks as part of the Cookout. So make sure and join us for that as long as it's on here, as long as many episodes as they have. The other thing I thought we would do tonight, unless anyone else has anything they want to say about episode 1 of the documentary, we would talk about quickly, just a quick little Bad Blood preview if you guys are up for it, which
Yeah.
is coming this Saturday, October 5th. WWE Bad Blood coming back. I guess it's been what they say, 15 or 20 years since the last one they've had. I don't even remember the last one. What was the last one?
I realized that it was either 2004 or 5. I don't know, but I feel like it was either one of those two.
Do you remember who was even wrestling?
I definitely, it was 2004 or 5. I want to say it was definitely, and that's probably why I remember it. Shawn Michaels and Triple H are either doing a Hell in a Cell against each other. I feel like that was the last one. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but that's the last one I remember that was significant.
Yeah. All right. So this year's Bad Blood, I don't know that this does anything for anybody, but I'll mention it real close. The rumor is that Jade and Bianca are going to host. I mean, I'd rather see them wrestle.
They are. It's official.
Okay.
They are hosted. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I'd rather see them wrestle, but I guess in lieu of wrestling, at least they'll be on the show. Better to be on as hosts than not on at all if you're not going to give them a match, right? So
we're in Atlanta, so we need some chocolate. That's number one. And then number two, hosting, yes, it's called Bad Blood. So I better see them brawl with some. They don't need to have a match, but I do need them to brawl with somebody.
And who would that be? Unholy Union or Kabuki Warriors?
Kabuki Warrior. Not even Kabuki Damage Control. Damage Control. But yeah, because that's actually a very interesting rivalry that I like because they're so good in the ring. And then
all right,
for better for worse, 5-match card.
Yes. So in no order, I'm assuming that this will actually probably be the main event, but I don't know for sure. But Hell in a Cell, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Who are you guys picking? What do you expect to happen here?
So it's insane how Wrestling News says that they're up in the air on what should be the main event, either this or Cody versus Roman Reigns. It's like clearly it should be the Hell in a Cell because we know
Cody and Roman Reigns.
Say what?
It's gonna be Cody and Roman Reigns.
Like my only thing is, how do you follow a Hell in a Cell with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, no less? Like you're really rolling the dice here.
I mean, doesn't Roman have the deal to his contract of if he's not on last, he's on first? So, like, would you open the show with Cody versus Roman?
I wouldn't be mad at that.
I'd send Roman home. We don't even need the match. Fuck him. But that's a whole different argument. Here's the thing, though. You have 2 title matches, both women's matches. One of them should be the main event. That's pure and simple. It should either be Rhea versus Liv with Dom in the shark cage or Nia and Bayley. I'm assuming it would be Liv and Rhea if you're picking between those two. But you got 2 title matches, only 2. Both of them are women's matches. One of them should be the main event. That's my contention.
Yeah.
But no, I assume that this match will probably well, no, you're right. Probably Roman and Cody will be the main event, unfortunately. They'll probably open the show. Well, who do you think is going to open? Damian and Finn?
I actually think it'll be Rhea and Liv.
Oh my God, that's terrible. I mean, I guess you're supposed to open with a good match, but
I would do Damian and Finn because you already had Rhea and Liv open at SummerSlam. So just for the matter of not repeating yourself.
I think it'll go women's match, then Damian and Finn, then the other women's match, then it'll be the Hell in a Cell, and it'll be Cody Roman main event.
All right, so who's your official pick, each of you, for this match?
For the Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, who you got?
CM Punk.
I'm going to be rooting for Drew.
Sammy's got Drew and Nika's got CM Punk. Man, I don't know. This is tough. Let me just say, I hope this is the last match between them. I hope this is the last match between the two of them. I hope this puts a bow on it. I really hope Drew McIntyre gets the win. He won't. CM Punk's probably going to win.
And only because we still have to do Seth versus CM Punk. So, like, after this, I don't really see what Drew's doing after this, so he can't take a hiatus. And what better hiatus to take than getting your behind whooped? But yeah, Sam Punk wins.
I still think that the powers that be, we saw it obviously in AEW, and I think the guys who were talking about Triple H or whoever it is at Endeavor or whatever, the TKO board, I think they still see CM Punk as a big draw, and he probably is. And I think they see putting the title on him as a big deal, so and something that pushes their brand. So I mean, maybe that's
See,
true. I don't know.
here's another thing. I would have made this a loser leaves Raw match.
Oh, that would have been fun. That'd have been nice. Yeah. That way you can actually force them to somewhat end the feud. I mean, it has to be ended essentially. One's going to the other place. Yeah, I like that. Because I don't need to see them again. So, all right. Rhea and Liv with Dom in the Shark Tank. What do you think happens here? Is this where Rhea finally gets her title back, or you think Liv retains? Oh, Anika says no. You think Liv wins?
What in the world of wrestling has your obstacle in the shark cage the shark cage actually held them? Like it never happened. It never happened. So as soon as they said shark cage, it's like she's not. Oh, Liv is beating her. Sweet Jesus.
So you think Dominic's going to find his way out, or someone's going to let him out? And he's still going to get involved?
Of course.
Of course. What about you, Sammy? What you think?
I mean, I was thinking it was going to be Rhea, but now Anika has me second guessing myself.
Like, I'm just saying, historically, when has the shark cage ever helped the person who's supposed to help?
Oh man,
No,
I'm still gonna go Rhea,
I think you might have a point.
I hope
I think
I'm
I have to
wrong.
go.
I'm trying to
I
just
think
put it out there, the energy. So
I might have to go with Liv now. Jeez.
I hope I'm wrong. Let's be very clear. I hope I'm wrong.
Huh.
But I'm probably not.
all right, Sammy, your final decision.
I think I have to go with Liv. Now that Anika has said that, like, I'm convinced.
Do you think that this is the end of Rhea and Liv, no matter what happens?
Oh, I hope so.
I do think they need a break, which is still. I'll say to the cows come home. I need this belt off Liv. I need this belt off Liv. So if it's not Rhea, heck, EO's killing it right now. You're gonna give the EO go ahead. So I do think they need to break.
Don't really have anybody else positioned behind Rhea to like that's been booked or pushed to be like competition for Liv at the moment. I mean, there's other women wrestlers doing well, but like as far as storyline at all or anything like.
I mean, there's one woman who I've been waiting for a return from because I need the match between her and Liv.
Alexa Bliss?
No.
Charlotte Flair? Charlotte Flair?
I need the match.
Yeah.
Now they say it's going to be a minute, though.
So you think Charlotte should beat Liv?
Oh. Man, that'd just add more fuel to the fire. Ooh. I could see it. I could see it happening for Liv to win it back and then for Liv to lose it to somebody else later.
All right, WWE Women's Championship, Nia versus Bayley. It's got to be Nia, right? She hasn't even had the title for. I mean, she's barely had the title for a minute. She's got to have a couple wins, and this has got to be a big win for her and a big title defense, I would imagine.
No.
I kind of feel like we're gonna get the cash in.
You think? This is probably one of the most decent women's cash-in stories in a minute. I don't think they should rush it, and don't do it just yet, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely, I love some Bayley, but right now, Nia Jax is doing her thing, so let her be champ for a little bit. Like I said, I feel like she should drop that title at Royal Rumble.
Okay. So you're officially taking Nia
Yes.
and Sammy?
I'd probably go with Nia as well.
Yeah, I'm going Nia too. All right, Roman and Cody versus Solo and Jacob Fatu.
This is actually not so cut and dry because in a world not so far away, I do see where Roman screws Cody. And then KO's
Yeah.
like, I told you couldn't trust this bastard. So it's not cut and dry. And Roman loves his family, so I don't think he wants to bury Solo, especially Jacob too. So wild card. I'm gonna go with Solo and Jacob too.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm torn on this because I don't really care for Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns. So I want Solo and Jacob to win. I've cooled down on Solo, but I'm red hot on Jacob. He's one of my favorite. He's my favorite bloodline member,
Hmm
for sure. So I mean, I'd love
I
to see
think
him.
he might be the best of the family.
I
Yeah,
love you. I acknowledge you, my chopper too.
yeah.
Like,
Um,
and I'd
so
probably
I,
have Jey Uso at number 2.
Oh yeah.
so I'd love to see him get, a big win here somehow over Cody and Roman, but I can't imagine that's going to happen, especially if they're the main event. Roman and Cody are winning. I mean, they're the two biggest stars, two of your biggest stars. I mean, they're not going to lose here, I don't think. So,
Them little Georgia boys gotta win.
yeah. Because it's Atlanta, I mean, Cody, yeah, I don't know. So I guess, yeah, I got to go Roman and Cody, unfortunately. That's terrible. I hate doing that. But, Sammy, you going Roman and
Um,
Cody too?
uh,
Or you
you
got.
know what? Uh, I don't hate the idea of the Roman Reigns betraying Cody.
So you're going to pick Solo and Jacob?
Uh, no. I think it's too soon. I think he's gonna dig his fangs into Cody a bit more.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I feel like it's gonna come, but not yet. It'll
Yeah,
happen closer to Mania.
I feel like they literally just had that handshake on Georgia Tech field, and this is their first united front together. So they got to let these two run together for a minute, right? I mean, and then let Cody really get sunk in, start really trusting Roman, and then Roman stabs him in the back. Like right now, I think Cody would still be too head on a swivel with Roman for it to really work right now. So, but yeah, down the road for sure. All right,
But
so. Uh, are you picking Damian? Are you picking Roman and Cody then, Sammy?
yes,
Okay. And then Damian Priest and Finn Balor.
I'm gonna go with my heart, and I'm going to pick Finn Balor. There's literally no reason to have this match if Finn Balor isn't winning, in my opinion, because you already had the Terror Twins beat have their revenge against, even though it was Dom and Liv, it was still Judgment Day. So like, what's the
Right.
point of doing this match if you're not going to elevate Finn just a little bit, just give me
and
hope.
I was actually thinking Finn as well to lead up to Finn eventually challenging Gunther.
Which is sexy to me. I wouldn't mind that at all, even though
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
going
see
Finn
it
too.
being Gunther. But still,
I'm gonna go
Oh,
Finn
well,
too.
yes.
I think it's time for Finn to get a big win. Nothing against Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest is solid and all that stuff, but I feel like even though Judgment Day has been a fairly big deal as far as lots of TV time and big storylines, Finn hasn't necessarily been the focus of those storylines. And he's been cooled down a lot, and he's really, really, really good. And I want them to warm him up again. He should be challenging for those major titles. He should be wrestling Cody Rhodes or Gunther for a major championship. And I think that starts with the win here over Damian Priest. At least I hope so. I hope that it starts with a win here over Damian Priest. Now, that being said, I know Damian Priest is old. He's like 40 or over 40 or whatever. And I know that him and
Yes.
Finn Balor are very close in age, but
Yeah.
It feels like in terms of years in the spotlight and on the main stage, Damian has a lot less time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it feels like, to a certain extent, he's got the air of the younger guy that still needs the win to kind of propel himself still. So I could see them doing that as well. But for me, I'd rather see Finn get another run. So I hope Finn gets the win here. That's, like Anika said, going with the heart.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. All
All
right.
right.
So,
Before we cut off, I wanted to talk about Dynamite tomorrow.
okay. What
So,
about it?
uh, Danielson versus Okada, the
Uh-huh.
AEW World Title versus AEW Continental Title.
But
However, the Continental Title is only on the line for the first 20 minutes.
yeah, I don't.
Hilarious.
Why does it have to be so convoluted? Like, why? What's up, Dolores?
Like,
I don't
right?
understand why you have to make it so convoluted. Like, we already know that you're not a great booker, Tony. You're just solidifying it with stuff like this. It's like, like you're not doing yourselves any favors.
And no offense, like, we already know you're not doing anything to jeopardize Danielson versus Moxley. So why put this? Like, just have the match. You don't have to go for belts. You don't have you don't need stipulation. Just have the match.
I mean, all this tells me is that this match is going to go 25 or 30 minutes and Danielson's going to win. Because Okada's not winning that title, and Danielson's not going to have two belts and take the title off of Okada. So it's got to go at least 20 minutes. Then Okada's belt isn't on the line, and then Danielson can win and go on and wrestle Moxley. Because like you said, they're not gonna do anything to jeopardize Moxley and Danielson and Wrestle Dream. I mean, that's not happening. So
Yeah.
the whole thing to me is dumb, honestly. Either just have the match with no titles involved because Danielson and Okada want to have the match, or just have the titles involved. And I guess, I mean, I don't know. But then you back yourself into a corner. I guess you could have a time limit draw, which Danielson's already had a few of. I mean, if you give it
Yeah.
30 minutes and make it just for the titles, you can have a draw, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you put these guys in a match where titles are on the line, you already automatically back yourself into a corner. And Tony Khan saw that at the last minute, was like, oh, we'll just make it only 20 minutes if the belt is on the line. So I guess that's his way of talking himself out of the corner, which is terrible. But
Sure. But
was there anything else you wanted to say about it, Sammy?
No, I just thought it was weird.
It is definitely weird.
But like you said, yay, Okada versus Danielson. Just stop making it less complicated. Why you gotta make things so complicated?
All right.
Just give us a match.
So we'll do a little house cleaning. Here is our QR code. If you scan that little horsey, it will take you to Linktree, and from Linktree you can see where we're active on all the social medias, and you can get to all of our social medias from Linktree. So please scan that QR code, and then you can interact with us everywhere we are: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter. You can follow us on Twitch. If you're new to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button on this video. It helps a lot. Hit the bell to be notified. That's the best way to make sure that you'll get a notification every time we do go live on the YouTube channel. We are live, or we're not live, we're on every Sunday for Enter the Square Circle, where it is myself and Sammy Joe playing WWE 2K24. That's at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Then we're live every Tuesday night, which you're here with us now for the Cookout, where we all come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling and whatever else we decide we want to do that week. So that starts at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, and that is live every Tuesday. Then Friday nights we are live for Friday Night Fights, where it is Anika and Sammy Joe watching SmackDown and Rampage and giving you their real-time reactions and opinions of the shows, starting with SmackDown at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, running through the end of Rampage. Then Saturday morning, it's usually the three of us here, myself, Sammy Joe, and Anika, talking about, for Winner's Circle, reviewing Monday Night Raw. NXT, and Dynamite, grading the shows and picking a winner, declaring a winner for the winner's circle for that week between those 3 shows. So that's live on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, bright and early. Make sure to get your coffee ready for that and join us for that. Then Saturday night, we are here for Saturday Night is All Right, our Collision watch along. This Saturday, we'll be watching Collision and Bad Blood. So make sure and join us for that. That starts at 5 p.m. with Collision and the main card of Bad Blood. We will not be doing the pre-show. So let's see. It looks like we've got yep. Saturday is Bad Blood and Collision. Thanks for that. I almost forgot. So thank you for reminding me. I think that's basically it. Let's see. You can check out the audio of the. Oh wait, here it is. The audio of the Cookout podcast, thanks to Dolores. She usually puts the audio out a few days after the show is done, is live here on YouTube. So you can check it out on Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Audio, iHeartRadio, all the ones you see on the screen there. So you can listen to us as you do whatever you do. Here's all the social media where we are, like I mentioned earlier, and you can get there by clicking on that horsey, which will take you to Linktree. I think that's basically it, unless anyone has anything else to say. We will say peace and get up out of here for the night.
Bye.
Peace.